Hello, my name is Arethea Brooks, and welcome to my channel here at Essentials to a Journey, where we discuss all things mindset. For those of you who are not familiar with who I am, and if this is your first time here, I am a health and wellness coach, and my focus is specifically on self care and mindset. And on this channel specifically, it's all mindset. If you are interested in anything that I have to say around and on the topic of self care, the link will be in the description below for you to be able to click on and to head on over and check some of my stuff out over there, and or subscribe if you want to any of the content that I have. It's much appreciated. So, with all of that being said, welcome to today's topic of discussion, where we will be discussing healthy conversations. And I brought my notes with me today because I think this is a topic that's important, and it's something that is shaping the world around us. And if we don't understand what healthy conversations look like, what they feel like, we can easily be led astray, and the world around us is just not behaving the way that we want it to, right? So, with today's topic, we will be discussing healthy conversations in accordance or in relation to with yourself and with other people. So, first and foremost, what is a healthy conversation? A healthy conversation is basically one in which you feel you feel lively, you feel attuned and aligned to your inner world. You feel safe, you feel supported, and you feel like everything is kind of working out for you and in your favor. So, a healthy conversation will lead you to basically any and all things that you so desire. Because let's be real, in this life, we can really have whatever it is that we truly desire if it's something that we really want. And again, we have to be in alignment with that. And in order to be in alignment with that, we have to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, and that starts with healthy conversations. So I think we all have an idea of what a healthy conversation is. I think if you are bad talking, or you're labeling, or you're judging, or you feel low in your energy, or you're just in a low vibrational state, it's safe to say that that is not a healthy conversation that you're having with yourself and probably with other people, because the inner always affects the outer world. So, would like to next go into discussing why it's important to have healthy conversations with yourself, and basically, how this impacts the outer conversations that you might be having with other people. So, why this is important? It's important because, like I just said, it shapes the world around you. And if you are not in alignment with whatever it is that you so desire, it will have an impact, like the conversations, the inner conversations that you're having internally. If it's not attuned and aligned to what you want, the outer world will not appear the way that you want it to. So, we are all having our own individual experiences. So, again, it's important to have a healthy conversation with yourself because it shapes the world around you, and it also shapes the relationships that you will have with others. So, for example, if you are having a battle with yourself, and you woke up early in the morning and you've been telling yourself that everything's so hard, you hate your job, or it's so hard to get up in the morning because you don't feel like you have much to get up for, this will begin to shape the world around you. So you might even start noticing other people in your outer world will start to reflect those conversations back to you. So you might even notice people kind of, putting you down, or saying, like, maybe they aren't directly conversating with you by saying that, basically what you're telling yourself in the morning internally, but they will reflect that. People might start showing up and saying, oh, I hate my life, and this sucks, and blah, 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 just basically negative self-talk. So again, the most important reason of why it's important to have healthy conversations is because it's going to shape everything around you, including circumstances, including the people that you're seeing or meeting on a day-to-day basis, how you're experiencing things. So, this is just a provided example of why this is important. You want to have a world in which it's mirroring back to you what it is that you truly want. So, when is it a good time to have or to work on your inner dialogue? Basically, any and every time is a good time to work on inner dialogue. But to be specific, a great time to work on inner dialogue would be, I would say, if you feel like you're lagging, if you feel like you're behind, if you feel like you should have something and you're not having whatever it is that you so desire, that would be a great and more ideal time. Also, when you start to notice and pick up on, if you're going throughout your day and you're noticing your energy is lower and you are noticing the conversations are kind of shifting to a place that's undesirable, that would be a good time to start shifting. And to not necessarily blame yourself, to not go into self-depreciating, I think that's the right word, but not really blaming yourself, but just noticing, picking up on those moments throughout the day, because everything is happening moment by moment, right? So noticing when you're having those conversations and begin to shift the conversation to something that's more favorable, something that's more ideal. So that would be the best time to start to work on your inner dialogue. But also every day, you guys should be working on your inner dialogue. I would say start working on your inner dialogue every day. You should be mindful of the conversations you're having in the morning. You should also be doing a check-in in the afternoon, to just kind of check in inwardly to say, okay, so how am I feeling, and what have I been telling myself for the past like couple of, minutes or whatever, the past few moments. And then before you go to bed is another great time to start to check in with yourself to see where the conversations have been. Do you feel good about your day? Is there anything that you're picking up on that you can say, oh, I'm so proud that I was able to accomplish this throughout my day? Those are good times to start working on your inner dialogue in the morning, in the afternoon, and before you go to bed, but also notably whenever you feel the conversations start to shift to something that's not ideal, or you're having a conversation with yourself and it feels like it's lagging and it's not supporting you. So what to do to basically fix the inner conversations that are not ideal? What I would say that you could do to begin to fix the conversations is to first notice that you're having the conversations, the conversations that are not ideal, and you want to give yourself grace, because no one's perfect and sometimes life is just happening. Things are happening around us. So be kind and be gracious to yourself. Notice first, and then you want to start to shift the conversation. You can do this by either writing things down. Maybe you want to make a note of conversations or dialogues that you're having, and then you want to begin to fix this by maybe you put one column, or you create a column where you're writing things out, or you're writing things out and you are making note of the conversations you were having that were not ideal. And then in another column, you can just write out, okay, this is what I would prefer. And you can just shift the conversations through writing, or you can do that instantaneously. So if you're just walking about and you notice the conversation is dragging or lagging in any kind of way, what you can do is just shift it internally. Catch it, be kind and gracious to yourself, and just shift. Maybe you start out by saying, like, I'm having a really bad day. And you can shift the conversation by saying, okay, well, maybe my day is bad. However, I know that things can get better than this. You can also fix this by, maybe you want to ideally create some affirmations for yourself. So maybe you want to download an app and start to just record some conversations that you can have throughout your day. That would be more ideal. And then you can listen to them on repeat. This is another way that you can begin to fix the inner conversations that are not ideal. Now, what to to do to fix this if your outer conversations are not ideal. So everything is happening internally. This is, I think, is very easy. Our world, everything is happening inside of us. The outer world is just a reflection. So if you don't fix what's going on inside of you, the outer world can't shift. And you can go to try to force things as much as you can, but I promise you, you won't get very far if you're always trying to like look outward and try to fix what's going on in your outer world, because you have way more control internally. So the way to fix the outer world is to work on fixing the inner world. So that's very easy. And I think I say this more so to give people some comfort in knowing that you don't have to try to fix two things at once. Once you fix your inner self, the outer world will start to shift. So don't worry about the outside world. Worry about yourself. Worry about what you currently have control over. And you have control over yourself. You have control over the inner dialogue. You have control over your thoughts. And you have control over how you feel. So that's how you fix the outer conversations that are not ideal. And basically, the last two things I want to discuss here is like, who benefits from having healthy conversations? This, I think, is a very much easy one, and I think it will give a lot of people relief, is you benefit from having healthy conversations. You know, you will start to feel lighter, and everything around you will start to shift and be a little bit more, I want to say, ideal, and things can get a lot easier for yourself once you begin to have healthy conversations. You benefit in so many ways, and it's so loving towards yourself to have healthy conversations. Who else benefits? The people around you, friends and family, the people who show up in your on your day to day. Those are the people who also benefit. So, you know, you're going about your day, you're enjoying yourself. Other people around you will also begin to enjoy you, and everybody wins. So I can't see a reason as to why no one would want to try to work on their own internal dialogue, because not only do you benefit, but your family benefits, your friends, and who doesn't want to have friends around them that feel great, who basically can come out and say like, I feel so good when I'm around you, or a spouse who says like, I love being in your presence, or I love the conversations we've been having lately. You know, they benefit. Or your children, they come home and they respond to you differently because you fixed the most important thing, and that's the relationship you have with yourself. So everyone benefits, you included. Who feels at fault with unhealthy conversations? And I think this is another easy one. I smile because it's just ridiculous. Who feels at fault with unhealthy conversations? The most important person that feels at fault is you. You know, you do not benefit from not trying to fix the inner world or fix the inner conversation, but also the people around you. People, you know, when you start to have unhealthy conversations, or you're, you know, having some sort of something going on inside of you that doesn't feel right and it feels out of alignment, the people around you start to feel that. And, you know, a consequence of this is people don't want to be around you. You know, things don't start to work out in your favor, or do not begin to work out in your favor, and nothing lasts. You know, maybe you had a good run, but eventually it drops off because you weren't able to sustain, because you've been reverting back to the old self or the old conversations. So everyone, you are at fault for the most part, but no one benefits. And that is all I have to say about healthy conversations for today. If any of this information resonated with you, and you have something that you'd like to share in regard to this conversation, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you've gotten any benefit out of it, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I want to say thank you for being here with me and discussing such an important topic today, because I think the conversations, when we begin to work on that and fix the world inside of us, or not even fix, but just we begin to be more aware of what's going on inside of us, our world becomes so beautiful. So again, thank you for being here and taking the time and the moment for yourself to think about this and to think this through and conversate with me on this. And I will be here every week with either longer content or shorter content of things that are, I feel, that are important, especially when it comes to mindset. And I will see you next time. Peace, light, and so much love.